went to see Wicked. And I have 2 pages. And the peanut gallery is not sitting next to me. So this either means it's really, really, really good or not. I'm not making an assumption about what the peanut gallery is feeling in this, but she said I don't have anything to say about this movie, which I think probably means not good for her. She sort of goes meh, little meh face here, little meh face. Yeah, I agree, by the way. When we went on the tram to the cinema, I was informed because we roughly know about what this movie is sort of supposed to be about. So what research do I need to do in advance? Not much. So when we were getting there, I heard from Peanut Gallery, this is a part 1. It's not on the poster. I checked. It's not anywhere information. When you're sitting in the cinema and the title thing comes on and you didn't know about it, it says little part 1 in the corner. And I think that is the problem with this movie. From start to finish, that's the problem with this movie. It's from a musical, for the people who don't know it. It's from a musical that was on Broadway, I believe, for many, 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 many years. From a book from 1995, and the musical is premiered in 2003. So it has a beautiful run. There's a lot of fans, but this film is not a musical stage production. So and there's a story in the book, because I actually read the Wikipedia of the book on the story, because I read the first paragraph and it's absolutely obvious that this musical, yes, it may have been based on this book, but that's not doing this book. In a way, a musical needs to do lots of songs and lots of dances and which is for Oz, lots of glitzy, very not enjoyable. But I think they forgot to do the story. There's a little bit of story, but it's not enough to fill a good 2-hour movie. No. And this part 1 business, absolutely no. It may be, because I haven't seen the musical itself, so I don't know what the other half of the story is going to be. I am going to talk about that later on as what I think it ought to be. It's probably not it, but it starts with the Wicked Witch is dead and everybody celebrating, like in the original Oz movie, this is fanfic from the Oz movie and not from anything else, basically. With some help of that book, they got the names and some of the stuff on the books. You start with your heroine, dead, vilified and dead. And then, spoiler, at the end of part 1, this is not resolved. This is not even, it's only remotely started. Okay, and this apart from the fact that, this is a fanfic of the film The Wizard of Oz, with that help of the book, and that book is obviously a fanfic of the film The Wizard of Oz, but anybody who knows the actual Wizard of Oz, and I haven't even read them, and I know that there are 4 witches in Oz when the story starts, and the original film from 1939 has Dorothy arrive and fall on witch number 1, which is the witch of the East. And so she's out of the picture almost immediately. And she's the sister of the Wicked Witch of the West. Everybody says sister. That is said there. So you have one of the West. That's our main bad person in that movie. And then Glinda comes and magics the shoes onto Dorothy's feet and sends her on her way. And then later on, when she, at the end, comes to Oz and it's all over, Glinda tells her how to get home. The film does that because too many people makes people's heads explode, which is fair enough. In the actual story, the first Glinda is a different person. It's the Glinda is the witch of the north, and the first witch is the one of the south, and she's way less powerful, and that's why she sends Dorothy on the path towards the wizard, because she doesn't know the answer either, because she's not a very powerful witch. So there are 4 witches. And in this wicked thing, there's 2. And the Elpheba, she's the Wicked Witch of the West here is called Elpheba. That's from the book and not from the 1995 book, not from the original book. In the original, she may or not have. There are names for the original, the ones who's supposed to be. She's supposed to be the Witch of the West is Selena the Good Witch, which I don't know what happened there. So this should be a Selena. She's not. She's an Elpheba. I liked the actress. I liked what she did with it. I liked the looks. I liked the visuals. Oh my god, they're so beautiful. Anyway, so you have your story that's already wrong in so many moments, and you start with the death, celebrating the death of your main character. And then you go, with the help of Glinda, you go back in time to flashback to when they were young and went to school. There was also a sequence of when they was very young. In fact, being born. There's no such thing in Oz, for the people who actually like Oz. There's no such thing in Oz. People are not born in Oz. I don't know how they get more people, but I think that the 1939 movie has the kids coming out of the Cabbage Patch, and that works for Oz real well. I mean, I don't think that's in Oz, but that's absolutely how Oz would do it if pressed upon having to do that. If they ran out of but in Oz, you actually have inanimate objects that become alive, like the Scarecrow and the Tin Man. So there's no shortage of folks, So there's no need for births. And these witches, these 4 of the compass, the 4 directions, they probably always existed. That's that kind of place. Anyway. They're putting in the next thing is a school, and I was going complete with headmistress. She has a different name, Umbridge. It's obviously Umbridge. How much Harry Potter this is so Harry Potter-esque, and I understand for the merch, but it's so Harry Potter-esque. I mean, we done 8 movies of Harry Potter, and I do like the. Not stuff around Harry Potter, but I like the franchise as such. But and then next thing is the culture at that school, because the mean girl culture. Oh my god! And I'm going.
The bullying culture.
The bullying culture, yeah. But also Glinda, the way she is a straight up mean girl. She is the quintessential mean girl who narcissistically thinks she's the center of attention, and then with the Elpheba's sister, Nessa Rose, who is in the wheelchair, and so Glinda sends this Munchkin, which was that I like, that the Munchkins are regular people, a little bit on the shorter side, but the regular sized people. That in the 1939 movie, where they had children and dwarfs sort of intermingled to do the Munchkins, it was a bit much, and I'm glad they didn't do that. for a stage show, it would have been a lot harder to have children and dwarfs to do it. So this is a good solution. I like it. He has a different look. He has like the curly hair. He's got a he's Hobbit-esque. He's like a hobbit. And she sends this guy, this young man who is really wanting to be going out with Glinda towards this girl in the wheelchair and saying to him, oh, befriend her, take her to the party, and I will like you. And of course, what happens is gonna happen. He takes her because he's actually a nice, very nice, shy kid. And so he takes the girl, but he keeps looking at Glinda the entire day, watching her dance and watching her do stuff. I don't know. In the whole storyline of the talking animals, the goat professor was played by Dinklage, by the way, which is kind of interesting. There's no particular reason for it or not for it. So, the whole subplot of that comes from that book in 1995, because that was what that book is about how do you become bad, basically about radicalization. Because in that book, Elpheba is she comes to her magic much later than in this film. She runs into animals that are being systematically made mute, basically, and she starts to fight for them, and she radicalizes towards doing too much terroristic stuff, I suppose. It doesn't really matter, because I stopped reading when I realized this is absolutely not what this movie is about. I don't think it's going to be. Or they have a lot to do in the next... because basically this was the first third of the story. And not the first... unless they lied to us, because they have no information that this is 1 of 3. We don't know. But there's not enough story in here. And there is also, and that's even worse, not enough music in here. This is a musical. And there's the gravity tune. Defying gravity. And that's it. That's not enough. And I'm not sure if that is, if the musical itself doesn't have any more, because some of these modern musicals, they have like one signature tune and maybe one other tune, and that should be enough. And I don't think it is. But if you then only get the one in here, and the singing there's nothing wrong with the singing, because we know Ariane the Grande is a really good singer. I had never heard of the Cynthia Erivo before, but she's wonderful. I absolutely want to see stuff of her. But it's not just the singer, the song also has to be good. And I don't think Ariana Grande got anything singing that was actually good. It was ostentatious, and she could do lots of ups and downs, and she could show her talent, but it wasn't good. I don't know, the peanut gallery is usually the music person, but she's again doing my face, so that's not good.
I think Glinda got the first song, which was the Celebrate that the Wicked Witch is Dead. And then you had the Prince, or whatever he is, Prince Charming.
Oh yeah, he had also had a song.
He had a song.
It's completely forgettable.
And then you had Defying Gravity, but I think the only one that people will remember from seeing it once is Defying Gravity.
Yeah, and I don't think that is enough to... The plot is not enough, the songs are not enough, the visuals are enough. There is a lot of wonderful visuals there. That is the one thing that might make it worthwhile to having a longer thing. But I think they made a mistake in cutting this in 2 pieces. I hope they've already recorded the second piece. Otherwise, it may never happen. But I think I would have been better for the story if... I'm not sure. I suppose this was about like 2 hours or something like that. It would have been better for the story if they'd done a 4-hour one-sit movie instead of two-sit movies. I understand you want double bums on seats, but you didn't tell me I was going to go to part 1. Not in any way did you tell me. So I am now really bummed because I was sitting there for 15.50 per bum. You know? And I have to do it again. I probably will do it again, but I'm not happy about it now. And now I'm annoyed because I got half a movie for my one money and half the songs for my one money. As pretty as it was, I would have preferred to have the 4 hours and the money. It's not really important. I would have paid 20 to get the 4 hours, but I'd like to have the whole story and all the music where it should be. Great. It's full of interesting people. The actors are wonderful. I mean, so much is wonderful. And that frustrates me that there are a couple of things that are really not wonderful. Where everything should be wonderful. This should be the movie of after the Barbie movie, this should be the movie of the year. Yeah? And it's not going to be. Maybe the next one, but...
Well, I felt that they were wasting time with the begin story with Glinda and Elpheba of being enemies and then becoming friends, and then you're gonna launch into this whole but they're gonna be enemies again. Why couldn't they have been fast friends from the beginning, and that would have saved you half an hour of film?
I can tell you worse, because the original story, I picked that up from Wizard of Oz Wiki. Originally, from the original books, the Sisterhood of Witches is an organization found and located in Oz, consisting of 4 witches in Oz that rule 4 of the 5 parts of the land. We have their sisterhood. They are already sisters to start with. That could have been interesting. You start with the 4 sisters. We know from the if you're doing a fanfic on the 1939 film, you know that one of them is gonna get squashed by a building, by a friendly neighborhood Kansas girl, and landing on top of her. So that is already your conflict happening, even if you didn't have it. May have had it. You can do a conflict earlier. All of this is so contrived and kind of shoehorning that 1995 book in, which I'm sure had interesting plot ideas, and then also making it a musical, wanting old Oz, making it a 2-parter. This is too much. It's too much. And not tipping on so many little elements that none of them are used. None at all. Nothing comes to any head at all, except for her the only thing that happens is that she becomes a witch, and it's sort of accidental, because she always was a witch. And she just kind of discovered it.
Well, I think the importance of the school is that it actually turns out that... Sorry, spoilers. Can we do spoilers?
Yes, we can do spoilers.
Okay, well, big spoiler space. Thank you. The Miss
Morable.
Dr. Morable or Professor Morable, and our actual Wizard of Oz, and I would assume Glinda, by the end of the film, are all in cahoots, being this horrible new regime.
Yeah,
and that's what our Elpheba is going to be up against in the next film. So that's the setup, as far as I see.
Yes, but the setup took so long, and should have been the first 20 minutes of this movie. That's bad. The kind of the setup is based on that 1995 book in which, because it's called Wicked, why do you become wicked? What is wicked? Who is wicked? So that is where all those ideas come from. And yes, they are interesting ideas. I just don't see them actually doing this, because this sort of doing Glinda, played by Ariane Grande, is trying to be the good guy too long, maybe. That I don't know. It's so wishy-washy. And I don't know where they go to, because in the end, spoilers again, Elpheba breaks with Oz and Morable and Glinda, and goes her own way. That's how it ends, and defying gravity. And that was very nice, by the way. I have no complaints about the looks and all of that. But it ends with her going her own way and then doing her own thing. But the thing is, remember the start of this movie. It starts with the death of our main character in a horrible, or the celebration of the death of the main character. And I don't like that. I don't like that with bells on, because what are we going to do in part 2? It's not ever going to end well for her. This is a tragedy for the people who like her as you now made her the protagonist, and now means that the next step is a tragedy. And like I said, I don't know how the Wicked musical ends, but I do know that some musicals, and I've seen that, sort of, because theater is abstract, some of these musicals end up in very abstract way, in a way that has nothing to do with reality. So I would imagine that the original musical ended in something similar, because you cannot solve this without having a horrible tragedy at the end. And while I like a lot Jesus Christ Superstar, I don't like the way it ended. And I wouldn't like it if this is going to end this way. However, there are my superstitions of how this might play out. It is possible, and I hope so, that the very first scene of the movie is completely staged. Hopefully from Glenda's side. If it turns out that's true, then she turned back to the good, to our good. If not, then I hope Elpheba got out of there, did a little trick when she melted, and is now living in Kansas with a little dog named Toto or something else. Any bear but there. And I hope she's not green, because that's in Kansas probably inconvenient, but maybe there are other places to go. The way they set it up does not make me happy. The way what they put in, apart from the visual, the props department wonderful, the actors wonderful, the the clothes, the costume department wonderful, the CGI stuff, that train, that was beautiful. And I know that one came out of CGI, but that clock, the clock in that school where they do the walking around, there was a circular book clock. I think that was real, and it was awesome. And when they go to Emerald City, they have a big parade, because that was in the original movie. So you have to have a big parade in the city itself. And they got in the circus people, because you have stilt walkers, and you have these men who have like their hands sort of tied to their body and a sort of waddly, and standing on the headseats without hands and stuff like that. Very interesting, very fun. This is a beautiful movie. And like so many movies, the same complaint I've been having for the last 5 movies. Story. My story sucks. Where is my story? Give me story. Original book was written in 1900. So no copyrights. If you want to do one, a story of Oz, have at it. The film, of course, 1939, that is in copyright. So don't do a fanfic of the film. Do something from us. and ask Ariane Grande to sing, and Cynthia Erivo let her sing, and I don't think that Jeff Goldblum does sing. He does sing, but Michelle Yeoh doesn't sing. Yeah, the mean girl culture of that school, and that includes the headmistress, the Mrs. Umbridge, who is not called Umbridge in this. I haven't looked it up. And Miss Morable, and Glinda, because everybody's. And it looked so beautiful. But that's the thing of new movies, is it always looks good now. I have not seen any that there's anything wrong with looks, or the acting, or the music. Apart from not enough variation in music. That is not just this thing. That was also the Gladiator movie had the same problem. That the first Gladiator had a lot of beautiful, award-winning music that a lot of people played, but the second one is not going to have that. And I think that's maybe a sign of the time. But that does mean that that I probably don't like modern musicals. And I really wanted to like Wicked. Really, really, really wanted to like Wicked. And I will go and see second part with the Peanut Gallery and our third person. And the third person went, it's colorful. Did not walk out, and it was colorful. Yay! Peanut Gallery also didn't work out. We didn't walk out.
Oh.
But for what it should be, I'm disappointed. For the amount it would have cost. And we said for the entire credits, having it run, just credit after credit, so many names who are working on this. And I'd love it for it to be better. But even things like the modern things they put in, like Nessa Rose, who is the sister. And of course, already knowing that the Wicked Witch of the East is the sister of the Wicked Witch of the West, I sort of thought, oh my God, she's going to be... And then she's in a wheelchair, and she's going to get squashed in a wheelchair. I suppose she's not going to be the same character. She's going to be somebody else. But the actress, by the way, is in a wheelchair, so I think that has something to do with it. I thought it was an interesting inclusion, but the school does not belong. Childbirth does not belong in Oz. Schools don't belong in Oz.
I can extrapolate some evidence from the Oz film that there is no churn of people in Oz. I mean, we know it from the actual original that people don't grow older. But when Dorothy arrives with her house, the house is on top of the witch. The witch is dead, which is a happening because people don't die.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a new arrival of an actual person in Oz, and Oz does not churn. So it is Dorothy arrives means somebody else has to go.
Yeah, I suppose. That may be the reason why, yeah. There was another very interesting writer called Heinlein who wrote a, not fanfic, but he included Oz. They traveled to Oz, modern or 1980s people traveled to Oz as modern people, and they talked to Ozma, I believe, or not Glinda, I'm not sure, about staying maybe. And then Glinda said, you can, but your child cannot be born here. One of them was pregnant, because there is no such thing.
Two of them were pregnant.
They were pregnant, and the two of them, there were two couples. So, yeah, you can't stay here. But she said, if you really want to stay here, she did say you can stay and then leave and then have your child elsewhere. It's not a problem. She said, if you stay here, we'll just enlarge Oz by an inch on all sides, and there will be room for you. That's very Ozian. I mean, that is also fanfic as such, but that is how it can fit. Having a Hogwarts-style school in the middle of Oz does not make me happy. Yeah, that's. I wanted to love this. And again, there's not that many good fantasy stuff around, and I hope the next one is part 2 at the end, and not part 2 at the middle, because that would be they're going too slowly. Go faster. This is really too slow. There's not enough there.
I'm not expecting them to go any faster in the next film.
No, but they have a certain amount of stuff to do. So either we get 3 movies, or they're gonna just not do stuff. Anyway, it's not easy being green. That is one of the things that is about the mean girl culture for Glinda in her story, but then it's Elpheba is very much a victim of that, but the entire culture seems to be against green, which is sort of weird in a world where everybody is weird. So I think this film, and maybe that book beforehand, but I think it's mostly this film, is putting way too much of our modern stuff on this world as a vessel to make a point. And yeah, the point is not easy being green. It's kind of pointed that you put a girl whose skin is also not white underneath this green makeup. I think that is a very weird point. I do know for practical sense, because I've seen it before, a dark girl gets green makeup because the coverage is better than on a white girl, like in Guardians of the Galaxy. There is a green-skinned alien, and so they underneath that the actress that plays it is also dark-skinned, because so it works really well. But then giving her a plot of prejudice and discrimination, and specifically color discrimination, is kind of gross. Sorry, but it is. And I kind of had the same feeling with Nessa Rose, because it's not like the character is just happens to be in a wheelchair. It from the pictures I've seen, the actress is in a wheelchair. And I understand, yes, you want own voices, but I don't think this was a good voice for this. I don't like it. I just don't like it. No. Well, I put on I wanted to like it. This is not fun. And there's so much wonderful about it, but no. A little tidbit, but I noticed that the Prince Not Charming, and Elpheba rescue a little lion cub and then take it to the forest. I think that is going to be the Cowardly Lion when it grows up. Which is kind of, I do like. There's a lot of little tidbits in here that are. This one was the one that actually sprang to mind, but there's like the poppies. Elpheba enchants the other people into sleep with poppies. 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 No, not puppies, like poppies. And that's from the original book and from the movie, of course. There's a big scene in the old movie, where that happens. So it knows its stuff. It's just not using it in the right way. Anyway, that's my opinion, and I'm going to have a drink now.